All right, folks, we're going to do a quick review of the adaptive entry system performance for today. It's been kind of interesting today. I mean, you can just visually see here on our 5-minute NQ chart, cycle down, cycle up, cycle down, cycle down, cycle up. But within that, we have our signals. So we have momentum signals that tell us to go long. We have consensus signals that tell us to go long. We have momentum signals that tell us to go short. The difference between those are green and red shading. And we have consensus signals that tell us to go short. We also have trend bias trades. Trend bias trade is just simply identified as going long when there is a blue bar that prints after the close of the first blue bar in a new series. Going short is when a red bar opens as the second red bar in a new series. All right, so that's the simplicity of this system. Now we have some training going on this evening on the adaptive entry system, so we're real excited about that. But for right now, I just want to share what the performance is. Now I've been working on the training, finalizing the prep for the training tonight. So I haven't really studied the numbers here. So this is kind of, we're going to do this in real time together. So there are two categories that we track performance. There are several that I actually keep track of, but there are two that we highlight. And the reason we highlight those is because one of them is for traders who want to trade market open to noon. So that's just 2.5 hours of trading in the day. And that's assuming that you take all of the signals that are presented, any trend bias signal, any consensus signal, or any momentum signal. And then hold those for 10 points of profit, or you see a signal reversal and you take the trade off, maybe for a loss or a smaller profit than 10 points. So that's what that criteria is. And today we did 25 points. On NQ, a single point is worth $20 per contract. So right there, there's $500 of profit per contract. The other category that we track is taking only the trend bias trades and holding those for 10 points, and we count those trades from 7 a.m. Eastern to 4 p.m. Eastern. Now today was one of our lower performing days. We had several trend bias trades that felt like we were kind of going back and forth. We were in for 10 points of profit, then maybe we had a signal reversal. We took it off for 20 points of loss. We had a couple, or 10 points of loss. We had a couple that were 20 points of loss. But net for the end of the day, we actually ended up positive. That's what we like to see, although that's a little less you're going to see than what our average has been. So I'm going to start with that one. And what I'm going to do is go over to our trading plan. So 9.75, so 9.75 points on 12 trades. So we're going to go to our trading plan here, pull that up, and we're looking at our trend bias holding for 10 points of profit. Today is Wednesday. We're going to go over to our entry. So 9.75 times 20, and we're trading 2 contracts. So that's $390 of profit. And you can see here, based on the prior profits that we've reported for the last 2.5 weeks, that's a little lighter than what we've seen before. In fact, I think, well, we only had one other day that was lighter than that. And what did I say, 12 trades? That's quite a few trades for pretty low points. So the way I classify that is we have low productivity today, but low is still positive, okay? So now we come back here. This is a routine we go through every day. We take a look at what our actual average is for all of the days that we've recorded tracking the performance of this category, the trend bias only trades holding for 10 points of profit or taking it off if the signal reverses, or if we end up losing our maximum loss of 20 points. So we're actually averaging 27.34 points a day. It's actually just under $700 a day. That's factoring in commissions and fees for our trades. That's why we enter the number of contracts that we traded. All right, so that's our actual. Everything shaded in blue is actual information that we've entered, and is all actual based on what we've all tracked here together in the live trading room. You've seen every one of these trades. We've talked about every one of the trades. We know that Some of the trades don't work out. We've taken losses on some trades. We've taken a lot of profits on trades. We've got some trades that might have been a little confusing for you. We've talked through those here in the live trading room. It's just an excellent opportunity to, in real time, see how the adaptive entry system is performing. Actual 27.34. Now, this tool that you're looking at, the trading plan, this is a personal trading plan, allows us to project out for 12 months what our potential income could be in 12 months based on our actual performance as well as a projection for all future days. So right now I have it projecting out to 29 points a day. That is based on where we were yesterday. Our average dropped a little bit today. Our actual average dropped a little bit just simply because we had slightly lower performance than what we've been seeing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to look at a forecast. I want to look at a forecast that I feel is very realistic based on actual performance. So I'm going to lower my future days forecast to 27 points. Now, if in the next few days, next few weeks, that actual average increases, well, then I will possibly adjust that forecast. Now, one thing about these two numbers right here, we're forecasting out 27 points a day for our positive days. And we're also forecasting that on an average 1 day a week, we're going to lose. Now, we actually haven't lost yet, but I'm going to leave that forecast in there. This is actually based on actuals, but it doesn't include any losing trades. I'm going to forecast out at 27, but I'm going to include an assumption that going forward, 1 day a week, we will have a losing day equivalent to about 15 points. I think that's a very realistic, a very conservative estimate. If I'm building a financial forecast tool for my trading business, which is exactly what this is, I want to be realistic and don't want to fool myself into thinking, oh my gosh, I haven't had any losing days yet. I'm never going to have a losing day. That's just not even close to being realistic for being a trader. So assuming that we move forward with 27 points of winning days and 15 points on losing days, and that we cap out the total number of contracts that we trade at 3, and that's based on whatever your personal comfort is with risk tolerance. The tool is set to, you can enter whatever you want here, but the tool is set to not trade more than 10% of the balance of the account. So as the account grows, the amount of capital you would commit to contracts would grow, but then you are going to, at some point, probably want to cap it out. So if the account were to grow and the pure calculation said, well, you could trade 50 contracts, okay, that might not be realistic for you. You might want to set it at 3, you might want to set it at 5, you might want to set it something higher or lower. I'm using 3 as what I consider to be a very realistic and conservative approach. So based on 27 points a day winning, 15 points a week losing, and maxing out at 3 contracts, your potential earnings for the next 12 months, including the actual, and then looking at the forecast, is about $290,000. So that number will continue to change and fluctuate. It's kind of like if you equate this to a business, a small business, and you've got sales coming in, and you've got a period of time that you've had really strong sales like we did the first week or so here, and then you've got a few days or weeks where you have weaker sales. You still have positive sales, but now that you're layering in all of your actuals and building your forecast off of those actuals, it may prove to be a slightly lower or slightly higher number than what you had originally planned. Regardless, $290,000 of potential income simply based on 27 points a day and 3 contract max, I think is very realistic and conservative plan. And remember, you can set this contract max at whatever you want. If you're willing to let it grow up to 5 contracts, knowing that that still is 10% or less of the value of the account, well, then that's that's a pretty strong forecast. Okay, so that is in that one category. We also track the other category that I mentioned, which is trading from 9:30 market open, 9:30 Eastern, market open to noon. That's for people who want to spend a limited amount of time trading. And that assumes that you're taking all of the signals, the trend bias signals, the momentum signals, and the consensus signals. And that you're holding for 10 points of profit or for a reversal or for being stopped out. Okay, so those are the factors. Today we produced 25 points of profit, 25 points of profit in that 2.5 hour time period. And that's on 10 trades. So we're going to jump back over to our trading plan and look at 10 points of profit, sorry, 25 points of profit, $500, 2 contracts, that's 1,000. Not 10,000, Mark. That would be awesome, but it's not 10,000. So it's $1,000 at 25 points, $20 a point. That's 502 contracts is what our trading plan is up to. And what did I say? 10 trades. All right, so that would be 20 contracts because we're trading 2 contracts. 20, yes, 20 contracts because we're trading 2 per trade. So this category is averaging 28, just over 28 points a day, about $731 a day. We have our future forecast based on 28 points a day. I'm not going to adjust that. I'm going to leave that alone. Our losing day per week is based on 10 points. Now we've had a couple of losing days. We're 2.5 weeks into this. We've had a couple of losing days, and those losing days are right in line with what our forecast is. So I'm going to leave both the profit forecast and the loss forecast. I'm going to leave those alone. I'm going to set this at 3 contracts again. And so based on this, trading from 9:30 to noon, 2.5 hours a day, starting with a $5,000 account and allocating 10% to contracts with a maximum of 3 contracts, it's just over $317,000 of a projected income over the course of the year. So again, I think that that's very realistic. I think that this tool right here is one of the most valuable tools you could ever want as a trader, to have some reasonable idea of where your income could be in 12 months based on the way you're currently trading. If you have a day that just doesn't feel very good to you, you have a day that you lost today or you're partway through the day and just doesn't feel right to you, you could quit. You could plug your numbers into this forecasting tool, into the trading plan, and you can see, well, even though I don't feel very good today, if my average, which in this case is 28 points, it were to continue over the course of the next 12 months, I know what I could potentially make, so $317,000. And even if my average decreased, right? What if it decreased to 20 points? You still have a pretty healthy income from where you're starting. All right, so that is how you manage your trading plan. And then the last thing I just want to share with you here real quick is the averages that we're seeing. So 9 3/4, just under 10 points on the trading bias, trend bias plus 10-point trigger. But overall, since we've been tracking this in the live trading room, we're averaging just over 42 points a day. So you can see that today was a fairly small day compared to where we're at overall. That's okay. Averages mean you've got low days and high days. Today was a low day compared to our average. On the 9:30 to 12 category, we're averaging 35.38 points a day. Today we were at 25 points. Again, a little bit lower than what we've seen on the overall average. The win rates are something that I focus on too. We've got a just over 75% win rate on the Trend Bias Plus with a 10-point trigger. We've got an 81% win rate on the 9:30 to noon. One other category that I'm paying attention to, but I'm not going to set up a personal trading plan to track it, I'm just going to talk about it here in these daily updates, is the same, taking all signals, holding for a 10-point profit, or being stopped out or adjust our stop based on a reversal, and doing that from 7 to noon, so 5 hours instead of 2.5 hours. That's an 85% win rate. That has my attention. I love this data for that reason. And I can also see that that is averaging just over 62 points a day, 62 points a day. So that's $640 a day on a single contract. So I'm paying attention to that, and I'm taking a look at the signals from 7 to noon, but we're going to track 9:30 to noon because that focuses on folks that don't want to invest a lot of time in trading. And I'm going to focus on the trend bias 10-point trigger because that is basically allowing us to identify what the trend is throughout the day, whether it's an all-day lasting trend like what we had on Monday, or whether we get multiple trends through the course of the day, a rising trend followed by a declining trend, followed by another rising trend. Okay, so that's the update for today, and I'm pretty excited about where we are. There's a ton of data in here. These are the two categories highlighted in green that I'm primarily focused on, and we'll be back again tomorrow for more trading and provide another update tomorrow.